Hello everyone, I hope you're doing really well today. If you're celebrating Pride, whether by yourself or with your friends, I hope you had a very beautiful, very fun, and love-filled month. On to the books! As always, we're starting with the familiar, or books I'm continuing, and then working our way through the new books. So let's go! Up first, for something not manga related, I picked up these two Mystery Heaven Official's Blessing can badges. I bought these during my manga shopping trip last month. Normally, I have to open things like this right away because I love surprises, so I have no idea how I was able to wait so long to open these on camera. Then I picked up 2 issues of Dear Plus, which is a monthly BL magazine. If these men look familiar to you, yep, I bought these for the therapy game covers. The June 2022 issue is the most recent one, and I had pre-ordered it, but while I was looking for it online, I saw that the November 2021 issue was still in stock, so I decided to pick it up too. I'm sure I say this every time therapy game comes up in a video, but wow, I could always use more Shizuma and Minato in my life. I love them so much. I know it's already very popular, but if you haven't yet, please read Therapy Game. Also for my manga shopping trip, I picked up volume 2 of Flying Witch by Ishizuka Chihiro. I love Flying Witch so much. I was introduced to it via the anime adaptation a few years ago, and since then, this has been in my regular rotation of go-to healing shows. Iyashike, or healing series, truly never misses. A few years ago, a dear friend of mine actually bought me volume 1 for Secret Santa, but because I frequently watch the anime, I actually did not prioritize picking up the manga. But the time has come. I think there are only 10 volumes out right now in English, so hopefully I can pick up the rest soon. As to be expected, I had a lot of fun reading this volume. Who doesn't love a cute story about a cute witch? I also really love Chinatsu. She is so cute and understandably wary, and I love seeing her follow Makoto and learn about witchcraft through her. These little bits of magic woven into their daily lives, how absolutely perfect. This manga is honestly pretty simple and straightforward, but so are many of the best things in life. With Iyashike, I'm always stuck between the anime adaptation or the manga. I used to strongly prefer anime adaptations because I thought the atmosphere felt more palpable in anime form. But ever since I started reading the Natsume's Book of Friends manga instead of rewatching the anime for the millionth time, I realized Iyashike works just as well in manga form too. In the case of Flying Witch though, I think I might still prefer the anime. Once I get to the point in the manga that goes beyond the anime adaptation, I'll have to see how I really feel. From that same shopping trip, I picked up volume 18 of my favorite shoujo manga, Honey Lemon Soda by Murata Mayu. Like I mentioned in that blog, that shopping trip was completely unplanned, so I went into it without knowing which volumes I need for any series I'm collecting. I did not remember which volume of Honey Lemon Soda I was currently at, so I just picked up the most recent volume that Kinokuniya had. That was very new for me because normally I would never buy manga out of order, but I figured the sandwich method, or buying from the beginning and from the end, shouldn't be too confusing for me to keep up with. I love this manga so much. It's sweet, cute, heartwarming, sparkly, inspiring. All of the good things that a good high school romance manga needs. I would absolutely love for this manga to be printed in English one day because I want all of my friends to read it too. It's just the perfect shoujo manga. It has everything. A lovely and precious protagonist, a very charming and sweet love interest, amazing character growth and development, and a healthy blend of our favorite shoujo tropes. Now that I'm gushing so much, I'm probably going to go add more volumes to my shopping cart and see what my cuties have been up to since I last read about them. Then I picked up volumes 1 through 5 of the Korean edition of Heaven Official's Blessing by MXTX. I already made an unboxing video for these books earlier in the month if you want an in-depth look at them. I pretty much just bought this so that I could give MXTX even more of my money. If you've been here for any scope of time, you probably already know how much I adore Heaven Official's Blessing. These books are still a bit too difficult for me to read easily, but my goal for the next few years is at least to be able to read at this level. We'll see how that goes. Next, I picked up volume 1 of the German edition of The Beast Must Die by Lee Han-soo. I've actually already finished this manhwa on Legend. One of my merch friends had mentioned that the German edition is completely uncensored, and I guess I thoughtlessly added it to my shopping cart one night. The other day, I was telling someone about all of the books I had purchased recently, and this one came up in the conversation. She was like, "Hold on, Mim, weren't you the one who told me how messed up this comic is? Why did you buy it again?" And truthfully, The Beast Must Die is one of the most intense things I have ever read. This is psychological in all caps. This is intense and dramatic in all caps. It's so captivating and so twisted. Most of the characters are so majorly messed up. For example, the original group of villains here hunt people for sport. It's just nuts. What I actually really appreciate about this manhwa and why I consider it so compelling is Kang-moo himself. It's very clear that the author did a lot of research on psychopathy. It wasn't gimmicky at all, and I genuinely felt terrified of him whenever he explained his thought process. This physical copy of the book is absolutely stunning. The pages are so glossy and nice, and yeah, no lightsabers if you know what I mean. On to the new things I bought this month. Up first, a manga that needs no introduction, I picked up volume 1 of Spy Family by Endo Tatsuya. If you didn't know, my manga shopping trip last month was all about retail therapy and making myself feel better. And so I really wanted to just read something funny and laugh with it. Spy Family sounded like the perfect manga for that. And wow, this volume was amazing. I could not put it down at all. I totally see why so many people love Spy Family so much and speak highly of it. This might be the best manga ever. I had a smile on my face the entire time. Why is Lloyd the best character ever? He's so cool as a spy, but I love that he's actually such a softie. And Yor, oh my goodness, what a gem. She's so precious and so cool. And of course, Anya, the funniest child ever. This family is amazing. Found family just continues to be the best trope ever. Spy Family does it so well too. I love that each of them have their own reasons for wanting to be in this family and that they're having fun at the same time. Oh, my heart, they are so good together. At the same time, why was I so emo while reading it too? Especially the glances at why Lloyd became a spy, and how all three of them are already so protective of each other. I actually shed a tear. I loved everything about this volume. The characters, the art, the humor, the writing, all of it. I think having genuine fun while reading is such a beautiful feeling. This manga did more than its job of cheering me up, and I genuinely feel so thankful that I started it. Next, I bought volume 1 of the Case Files of Jeweler Richard by Akatsuki Mika, Sujiwara Nanako, and Yukihiro Utako. This is the manga adaptation, but I think 7 Seas just licensed the original novel too. Anyway, this might be my first completely blind buy. I was at the bookstore, I saw an interesting title, and I just grabbed it. Did not read the blurb, did not even look at the cover really, and just committed to it. Saying that out loud makes it sound like not that big of a deal, but I was quite surprised by myself, and so very excited to try out a series I had never heard of. My family always teases me about my taste in everything. I tend to have really bad luck when it comes to ordering food or buying clothes, so usually when I pick things out, they are super nervous for me. Fortunately for all of us, manga is the only thing I have excellent taste in. This was such a page-turner. At first, I was kind of just nodding along and seeing how things would play out, but each passing page got more and more interesting. By the time the first chapter ended, I was hooked. This volume was just so much fun and had so many good things going on. I too would love a lucky, fated meeting with a handsome and mysterious jeweler, to be honest. Both this jewelry shop and Richard himself are so whimsical. Segi is also so charming. They're both great. I loved all of the mysteries they looked into, and how every chapter was filled with so many nice kernels of advice and general life wisdom. I am not sure how to put this into words, but I felt so rejuvenated and hopeful at the end of every case. I love that the story tries to highlight people from all walks of life who are brought to Richard one way or another. Despite their interest in gemstones, there were some very normal people here, which just goes to show that you never know where life will take you, how your path will intertwine with someone else's, or just how you can seldom tell what someone's story is at first glance. And I love how gemstones were also used as a metaphor for life itself. When Richard explained that carats are the only measurement tool for gemstones, but in life, there's often value in measuring things in multiple ways, for example. Again, I genuinely felt so touched while reading this volume. I am definitely picking up the next volume, definitely going to read the novel when it comes out in the fall, and definitely watching the anime later on. On to one of my most highly anticipated books ever. Next, I picked up both the original book and manga adaptation of Until I Meet My Husband by Nanasaki Ryosuke. The manga adaptation was illustrated by Sukizuki Yoshi. Reading stories and memoirs of LGBTQ people will always hit differently and strike a chord with me. BL was my gateway into understanding myself, but reading stories from actual LGBTQ people will always make me feel so seen. I am shaking right now just thinking about how important books like this are, and I am so thankful that I can read them for myself. I just feel so lucky right now. Over the weekend, I saw that some bookstores got their copies early, and I was so envious of everyone who was able to pick their copies up ahead of time. I wasn't sure if I wanted to start with the manga adaptation or the original essays, but I chose the manga simply because it's easier for me to engage with a visual medium first. I started reading this right away, and I was so emotional the entire time. Within the first couple pages, I had already shed my first tears because of one line. I doubt the old me could have ever imagined such a beautiful future. And boom, waterworks. The first time Nanasaki came out to his friends and they all started crying, I started crying along with them. I just want every person out there to feel safe, happy, supported, and proud of who they are. We all deserve that. This manga was just so good. It's the best thing I've read all year, and probably one of the best things I have ever read. It made me cry, it made me smile, but most of all, it made me feel hopeful, inspired, and happy. Originally, I thought I would wait a bit and calm down before starting the book, but I just jumped right in because I wanted to know more, especially about Nanasaki Ryosuke's activism, if that gets elaborated on. The photos at the beginning of the memoir were so beautiful. I was so happy to see the real-life Emi and Asumi too, our ally queens. As you can imagine, reading the original prose is different from reading it as a manga. I've only read a little bit at this point, but every detail I wanted to know more about in the manga is in the book. In the manga, there's a short afterword by Nanasaki, and he mentioned that the lived experiences of gay people and the world of BL don't really overlap, but that it was also essentially really cool to have a BL artist draw the manga of his story. And I totally agree. Like he said, this collaboration was truly groundbreaking, and it would be nice if the Venn diagram of people who love BL and the people who care about LGBTQ issues was more of a circle, right? I am so excited to wrap up this video and get back to reading the book. I already told all of my friends to pick both of these up, but I can't wait to hear their reactions too. Next, I picked up Dick Fight Island Volume 1 by Ike Reibun. I'm sure like many people out there, this manga first caught my attention because of the ridiculous title. Later on, a lot of people also said that this manga was way more wholesome than they expected, and that also caught my attention. What I'm getting at is that this manga has been on my radar for a long time, and reading it has been long overdue. Honestly, within like 5 pages, I was hooked. It's so good. Who doesn't love a good tournament arc? And yes, why don't more people show off their asses to show how manly they are? Excellent question. Dick Fight Island kind of felt like reading an ethnography report, in that I love how all of this was framed as just cultural practices. Dueling until ejaculation and walking around with your butt showing off might seem bizarre to outsiders, but it's just the norm for people who live on these islands. Even though I went into this expecting the wholesomeness, this manga seriously was so wholesome. It was so silly and sweet. It was also much more romantic than I was expecting. These beefy guys are so much more than meets the eye. And that's also kind of the impression I got from the volume overall. It would have been so easy to reduce a concept like this into just pure sex, but I love that Ike actually created a very believable history and progression for these clans. The plot was actually very well written and really good. I know there was some discourse, for lack of a better word, regarding the English title. After reading this manga, Dick Fight Island does feel like a very reductive title compared to the original, which is 8 Warriors. That aside, I really enjoyed this first volume. It was very funny, engaging, and again, really interesting. Next, I read Let's Go Karaoke, or Let's Go Karaoke by Wayama Yama. I picked this up because I thought the cover looked really pretty. I've read Wayama's other manga, Captivated by You, and I did enjoy that one. After reading this book, it is so clear that Wayama has a very fun sense of humor, particularly with their comedic timing. I enjoyed this manga a lot. It was so amusing. A little known fact about me is that I am a very big fan of unlikely friendships. Max and Bo, the dog who raised the baby sheep on TikTok, Ichinoi and Urara from BL Metamorphosis, an elderly woman and high school girl reading BL together, Handa and Naru from Barakamon, letting a child bully you into having fun. So of course, I wanted to read a manga about a member of the Yakuza recruiting a middle schooler for singing lessons. I live for this stuff. And yeah, I had a lot of fun reading this volume. It was so random, quirky, and funny. I was very charmed by Narita. He was so cool. Whatever you're imagining a Yakuza member to be like, he will surpass your expectations. I thought both of the main characters were really funny, and I thought their dynamic was so much fun. The manga took such a dramatic turn at one point, and my jaw dropped. But the scene also ended up being so touching, which I really liked. Given that I've liked 2 of Wayama's manga so far, I think they might now be an author I want to regularly keep up with. I cannot wait to see what they come up with next. For this manga, it looks like there's going to be a live-action adaptation next year, and I totally want to check that out too. Then I read Yoneda Ko's Nights. After I fell head over heels for Twittering Birds Never Fly, I knew I needed to check out more of her work. I am a big fan of one-shots and short stories, so I went into this with high hopes. And boy, did Yoneda deliver. Reading this felt like drinking the perfect cup of a hot beverage of your choice. It was so smooth and rejuvenated me from the inside out. Yoneda is such a talented writer and artist. Her sense of humor is so sophisticated. I'm not sure how to put it other than to say I had a really good time reading this volume. There are 3 stories, with one of them making up about half of the volume. And I love that each story was so different in tone and theme, but they were all simultaneously very Yoneda-esque. She has such a good grasp on fleshing out characters with small details, with properly using setting and mood to tell the story, and with gently, realistically, and smoothly depicting feelings like falling in love, longing, or even just messing with someone. I just want to live in Yoneda's beautiful, beautiful mind. She has some other manga out in English, but they are so expensive, so I'll likely buy them digitally soon. And finally, I wanted to share the books I received in my May Romance as a Book box. This is a BL subscription box, which I thought was really cool. It's called the BL and Chill box. They definitely delivered on the BL, but not so much on the chill. Their FAQ mentioned getting things like beauty products to relax with, but I wouldn't really call snacks like banana chips or a tumbler relaxation items. I skipped getting the June box, but I think I'll keep it up for July just to give them another chance. Anyway, onto the main feature of the box, the books themselves. The first one I received is a Tokyopop manga, and you know how much I love those. I got Tomorrow Make Me Yours by Miyama Kaoruko, because I do want to pick up every Tokyopop BL at some point. This was actually already on my shopping list. How nice! You know when something is so cute that it warms you up a little inside? That's how I felt while reading this manga. It was mostly so cute, so wholesome, and heart-fluttering. Both of the main characters blushed so much, and that was absolutely adorable. If you've read a lot of high school romance and enjoy the tropes that come with them, I think you would like this manga. Things like feeling insecure about whether your partner likes you, the first visit to your partner's home, how to approach wanting to sleep together, or the little misunderstandings that pile up, that sort of stuff. So, I said this manga was mostly wholesome. At one point, the tension felt kind of manufactured. One of the characters, Hayato, felt so guilty for pushing Yuki to sleep with him, but then he kind of does it again later in the volume. Honestly, the first instance was so tame that I actually thought Hayato was overreacting. Maybe the author thought the same thing, so she made him do it again. But yeah, it didn't feel believable since he already felt so bad the first time. Other than that, this was so cute and sweet. Miscommunication always hurts me a little in any setting, but I love seeing characters figure their feelings out and finally say what they actually mean. The payoff is always so good. Next, I received Train Boys by Omi Chen. Isn't this cover so beautiful? I love the big sky in the background. I'm not going to do my usual spine and back cover show off for this one because I actually damaged the book a little. It got wet with Lysol because I had this book out while I was cleaning. Yeah, it was a whole thing. The damage was minimal, but I still feel so bad about it. I'm not even sure how to describe this comic other than to say I absolutely loved it. The art was so pretty and soft. Net and Spy's dynamic is so much fun. I love opposites attract and annoying someone until they give in and admit they like you. Their first kiss was also hilarious. Basically, I love these silly train boys. When I started this comic, I could already tell that one book was not going to be enough for me. And I was right. I just didn't want this to end. Has anyone else ever also wanted to try train hopping? It's always seemed like so much fun, and honestly, hearing Net and Spy's different stories made it sound so fulfilling and invigorating. I also just love how they met while train hopping. The idea of your path intersecting with the strangers by chance, and that serendipitous moment turning into something so beautiful and fun. I love that so much. This comic managed to accomplish so much in so little. I also loved learning about trains, seeing them strategize when to hop onto their next train, or just how to avoid guards. It was like a whole new world opened up for me. I especially love the short passage on salt flats. I have always wanted to see one in person. Of course, on a surface level, I know that the US is made up of so many ecosystems and climates and all of that, but reading about it in this comic and seeing all of the different places they visited on just one train ride was so awe-inspiring, for lack of a better word. I seriously wish this was longer. I want more. This one book was so charming and whimsical, and I loved it so much. I'm so thankful that Romance is a Book included this comic because I probably would have never heard of it otherwise, and my life feels more energized now because of it. I am probably going to buy another copy just to replace my foolishly damaged one. The last comic I got in my subscription box is Overcontact Binary by DM Dan. This is a prequel to their main series, Stellar Collision. I tried finding more information about Stellar Collision online, but it doesn't look like that comic has been published yet. According to their website, they unfortunately ran into some issues, mostly related to the pandemic and with some publishers, but it sounds like Volume 1 of the main story is done. First of all, doesn't everyone want to see their smut in as large of a trim size as possible? Look at how massive this is. I too want to see my muscles as close up as possible. I love it. There is no discreet way to read this. It's hard for me to give my thorough thoughts because this is essentially a side story to a main story that's unpublished. I do like that the author included some biographical info and stats, which definitely helped, but without the world building that I assume will be in the main story, nothing really stuck to me. So I took a page from AO3 and treated this as porn without plot, or porn with some plot. And when I read it like that, it was pretty good. I thought the art in this comic was really pretty to look at. Again, the muscles. The dialogue was a little awkward and clunky, but not enough to detract from the overall experience. Even though I know almost nothing about Evander and Dorian, I could tell how much they like each other just from this one chapter. And I think being able to capture and depict intimacy and love in just a few pages is a pretty cool accomplishment. All in all, I thought Overcontact Binary was just alright. I'm not sure when Volume 1 of Stellar Collision will be out, but I'd imagine I would appreciate Overcontact Binary more after reading the main story. And with that, we are at the end of this month's haul. Not to toot my own horn, but wow, I really do have some great taste. I had so much fun reading all of these books. Reading honestly makes me feel so light, free, and most importantly, happy. Reading a good story reminds me that little pockets of happiness are everywhere. With that being said, I hope you read something this month that made you laugh, made you cry, or just stirred your heart. As always, I hope you're safe, happy, and healthy. Again, I hope you had a wonderful Pride. And finally, I shall see you next time.